Haven't had this feeling in a while. Tuesday morning, reflecting on an Arizona Cardinals victory over an opponent after 3 straight losses, 25-22 win over the Dallas Cowboys, getting the Cardinals back on track to potentially making a deep playoff run in the NFC. Alex, Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked on Cardinals. We're breaking it down. Let's go!
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Woo! It was a close one yesterday. Alex, Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked on Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked on Cardinals your first listen every day. Follow him at Bo Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked on AZ Cards. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, comment, etc. Thanks to everybody who was interacting with us on Twitter and halftime and post-game shows yesterday or Sunday. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see the Cardinals get back on track. The journey has just begun. You know, they've saved themselves from what could potentially be a dismal end to the 2021 season with how they started, but 11-5 can still win the division. But like after that 3-game slide, it was kind of a doomsday scenario, at least in my opinion, where it doesn't really matter what the record is. If they were to have lost out, or if they would have lost 4 out of their last 5, it would have been little bit of a problem. And the fact that they got a win in Dallas on the road, the game of the week on Fox, it kind of reinstilled hope from not only us on this podcast, fan base, and I think the Cardinals themselves, the players, the employees needed this more than anybody.
Yeah, everybody needed it. No doubt about it. I mean, there are people that were going to remain positive, be the glass half full people. You're not one of those guys, but Arizona Cardinals being able to avoid the 4-game losing skid and really back into the postseason, which we've seen historically teams just don't do well in the big dance when they're backing in like the Arizona Cardinals could have potentially been doing. Now, with a big 25-22 win over the Dallas Cowboys on the road, their 8th road win of the season, Kyler Murray remaining undefeated in that building, it has my co-host, who looks like a homeless nature boy, wooing. Now, I mean,
I'm so warm right now. Are you kidding me?
Woo.
Locked on. Oh.
Your beanie, it's on YouTube. You could see that, but it built confidence. It reminded me of the game that Colt McCoy had, a bounce back game after the disaster that was Carolina, his bounce back at Seattle, and it reinstilled confidence that their backup quarterback could go out there and win a game for you. This one reinforced to the fan base that this team was not, dead in the water, that this team could very realistically go up against really any team in the NFL and go tit for tat and come out with a victory. It also proved a couple other things. Like they had some very, very convincing wins early on. This one the game was in the balance at the end. Dallas had cut into their lead and their offense could very well have come down and tied the game at 25-25 or even taken the lead. And what Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and Chase Edmonds were able to accomplish and putting that game away was really something we hadn't seen all season long. Really something we hadn't seen, Alex, under the Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray era.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, prove to me that things are different and I'll start to believe that things are different. And that one sustained drive was like, oh, they do have it. They can do it because they've never done it. The victory formation is not something we've seen from the Cardinals in close games. It really isn't. And the fact that they were able to do it in Dallas against a team with the number 1 offense in the NFL, with 2 potential Defensive Player of the Year candidates on the defensive side of the ball, DeMarcus Lawrence is an absolute mauler on top of that, Leighton Vander Esch, etc. They took care of business. They scored a lot of points early. The defense showed up. Now, the only thing that I will say, and it's never going to just be rainbows and butterflies unless you win 70-0. Like everything went right for the Cardinals. Everything went right. All the bounces, everything went right. Them not having a timeout at the end of the game with Chase Edmonds fumbling the ball, which was an obvious fumble. The fact that the refs didn't catch it, the fake punt that was I guess, a good throw that ended up being in pass interference, but also, Jonathan Ward had the catch of the year in the NFL. So they, it overcame the penalty. Everything went right for the Cardinals and everything went terribly for Dallas. So this wasn't like a victory bred out of futility for the Cardinals where they had no business winning. They were leading the whole time. They had some bad penalties early on that only led to 3 points. It was an underthrown pass by Kyler Murray to AJ Green, led to 3 points, and we're like, here we go again. That's exactly what I thought when they were first and goal inside the 5 and came away with 3. And then you started to see Dallas just continue to shoot themselves in the foot. 10 penalties, like every big play that Dallas had got brought back by penalty. Dak Prescott just doesn't look right. CeeDee Lamb, you got to give the defense credit for that part, but everything went right for the Cardinals, and they could win when everything goes right. So at least everything went right, and they put themselves in a situation to make everything go right, and you have to give them credit for that, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And let's not forget about the near interception that happened in the end zone for Kyler Murray.
Right.
I mean, that could have been one of those plays that defined the season and just completely just dropped anchor and sank everything else with it. That would have been brutal, but it broke the Arizona Cardinals' way. When you looked at the matchup going into it, the Arizona Cardinals had lost 3 straight. Dallas, I think, had won 4 in a row, and the two teams played completely opposite of how they were trending. Like Dallas looked like the Arizona Cardinals the previous 3 weeks, and the Arizona Cardinals looked like Dallas had really looked like the last couple weeks as they were kind of surging going into the contest. So, a tip of the cap to Cliff Kingsbury. Of course, Vance Joseph, I thought he was masterful on the defensive side of the play calling, and in Kyler Murray coming out, take care of the football. They didn't read the press clippings. They weren't reading the headlines. They weren't getting on social media and buying into what Alex Clancy was saying. This was a team that was in a slump, and they were able to break out of it in a big way against a very good football team in Dallas, despite their troubles on Sunday. Arizona Cardinals are a force. They are a force to be reckoned with. They've got one more thing to check off their list, and that's finishing the season on a high note against Seattle at home and beating up on a squad that just dropped 51 points, a 51 burger. I don't care who it is, Detroit Lions. It's going to be a big game for the Arizona Cardinals because there's a lot left at stake.
Yeah, they put up 38 more points than the Cardinals did against the Lions. So, Alex Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked on Cardinals, and this is called Derelict. Okay, have you not seen Zoolander? Relax. This is the comfortability of me being able to do this, my own flipping home, when it's 38 degrees outside in Phoenix, and I can rep the Locked on beanie once ever. Can I do that? Can I, or do I have to retire this look completely?
You can rock it, man.
I do appreciate it.
You can.
Alex Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked on Cardinals. You're too kind. Follow the podcast at Locked on AZ Cards. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. One name we haven't mentioned yet, Antoine Wesley. Is he somebody that can be trusted to take the place of DeAndre Hopkins until he comes back? Should his target share go up? Or should he kind of be kept in the same wheelhouse of the run, you're taller than the defender, go up and get it kind of plays that we'd seen, 2 of which ended up in touchdowns for the Cardinals? We'll talk about that in depth. And also, final segment today, playoff pictures, baby. Wish list way too early before week 18. There's a lot more chips that need to fall before the Cardinals know exactly who and where they're going to play. But we can give our wish list, and we're going to do that in the third segment. But first, Cardinals fans, I'm Alex Clancy. I don't know if you knew that. There's an incredible app that, if you buy gas, you need to know about it. It's called Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code Touchdown and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Again, download the app for free and use the promo code Touchdown to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making, upwards of $200-$300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account, and you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card. So again, download the free Get Upside app. Use promo code Touchdown to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code Touchdown. Download the Get Upside app for free today. Second segment, Locked On Cardinals. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, free and available on all platforms. Ain't no paywall here. Antoine Wesley, 2 touchdown catches, making up for at the time, what was a costly drop on 3rd and 6. Ended up getting in the end zone twice. One was a incredibly acrobatic catch right by the pylon at 7:00, I guess you'd call it. And the other one was Kyler Murray just extending plays, having the defender come to him and finding Antoine Wesley in the back of the end zone for another touchdown. Is Antoine Wesley enough of a doppelganger of DeAndre Hopkins, say 65%, that would lend him to get more targets than he's already getting and need to have it moments? Because he seems to be a guy that's in a need to have it moment, can go up and get the ball.
He's not even in the same, realm.
Oh, I know that.
They're playing the same. I'm not saying or alluding that you were, but as far as Antoine Wesley, what he does bring to the table, and he's brought 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, should have 4 in the last 3 weeks. He couldn't get his foot in against Detroit. Remember that one. But he adds diversity to this receiving core. Like, you have Christian Kirk, what he's able to do. You've got AJ Green on the other side, his bag of tricks, and he's a veteran and he knows how to run all the routes and make some big plays for this offense. Chase Edmonds out of the backfield. But what Antoine Wesley brings, also Zach Ertz, throw him in there and all the catches that he's been hauling in last couple weeks. Antoine Wesley can get some separation. He could use his size. He could use his athleticism. You've seen him in one-on-one matchups. It's more than a 50-50 ball with Antoine Wesley. And if you're in the NFL, that's really all you need is the skill set to kind of put those catches away and, put those TDs in the end zone. That's exactly what he's done. I like the diversity that he brings to the table as far as this receiving core. You put Rondale Moore potentially back healthy into this lineup, and it makes a guy like Wesley even more important. You don't need him to have a huge target share. If you look at his target share the last couple of weeks, just 9 targets, 6 catches, 59 yards, not huge eye-popping numbers, but the 3 TDs, that's all you need from the guy. He's got a very narrow focus on the field. It's run the outs, make the catches, make the big plays, extend drives, or find the end zone. I love it. He's exactly what you need, and he's very familiar with Cliff's offense because he played at Texas Tech.
Right. And what you need, and obviously doppelganger was a very loosely defined statement when you're trying to replace one of the top receivers in the league. That's not what I meant, but more it's like I use the term bookend a lot when they signed AJ Green, and now AJ Green has a bookend for him that allows, the play callers to call some stuff in the middle to keep the outside corners honest. And what we saw on Sunday was the NFL seeing that Antoine Wesley can produce. And that's really all you need. It's got to be like on a reputation alone kind of basis. You kind of fake it till you make it situation where you have Christian Kirk, hopefully getting Rondale Moore back. Hopefully James Conner and Chase Edmonds will both be healthy, even though Chase Edmonds was hobbled in Sunday's matchup. I think it was something around his chest. And, you just need him to be productive. He doesn't need to get in the end zone. Like, you need him to be a competent bookend to AJ Green, because AJ Green looked fine.
Right.
AJ Green looked fine. He's still he was a large chunk play guy, and then he wasn't in Cincinnati, and now he's reverting back to just running straight, being 6'4", turning around and catching the ball, which is fine. He's a great jump ball guy. We've seen him bail out Kyler Murray a couple times this year, whether it be on 3rd or 4th down, with Kyler Murray fading away and just throwing it up to AJ Green and him making catches. So Antoine Wesley, it's a pleasant surprise. And if for anybody that plays fantasy football, this is the time of year where there are people, Amon-Ra St. Brown, anybody, I know he's a rookie, but it's like people will come out of the woodwork and be able to make plays for a team that needs them to make plays. It's the next man up mentality, and Antoine Wesley's been taking advantage of his opportunity.
Yeah. Your doppelganger, I think, is panhandling at 7th Street in the I-10 right now.
Oh, I'd be frigid.
Or is boring somebody with their favorite IPA selections. I can't tell if you're a hipster or a hobo right now.
IPA is disgusting. Okay, we don't have a sponsor for IPA. I don't want dirt water to go into my gullet. Okay, I don't. Alex, Clancy, Bo Brack, that's enough for you. Locked On Cardinals. Coming up next, there's a couple different scenarios as to where the Cardinals could sit through Week 18. The Cardinals can still win the division if the Rams lose and the Cardinals win. Like, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into our wish list, I guess, when it comes to playoff positioning for the Cardinals. First, I want to tell you about betonline.ag. BetOnline has you covered this holiday season, post-holiday season, with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues to march through as the NFL playoffs are just around the corner. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action this season. Head to the website or use your mobile device today to sign up. Receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit using promo code Locked On. Again, go to the website or use your mobile device today to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit using promo code Locked On. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline's got you covered, baby. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. So don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. So real quick, Bo, what's the Cardinal Seahawks line? I know we were just talking betonline.ag. I saw it around 5.5 and 6.5.
Yeah, Cardinals are 5.5 point favorites.
Yeah, that makes me think
6.5. It's
that makes me think that Russell Wilson may not be playing because there's no reason to think that the Seahawks should be a 6.5 point dog, even though they're on the road. I think that's got to be built in that Russell Wilson may be shut down for the year, even though he doesn't want to be. They are his number one. He is their number one trade asset. Regardless if you want to believe it or not, they're blowing that baby up. It makes all the sense in the world for them to do it. They have no draft picks. They have to draft day it, where they traded away all their draft picks. Now they got to get them all back. Maybe Kevin Costner can take a break from that Paramount show and help him out. So if the Cardinals win in the whatever. Okay. Howdy, partner. So if the Cowboys or if the Rams lose to the 49ers and the Cardinals beat the Seahawks, the Cardinals will take over at this point the 3 seed. Now, I just full disclosure, I don't know what the tiebreaker is between Tampa Bay and the Cardinals. So if Tampa Bay loses, you said they're playing Atlanta in Week 18.
Correct.
Tom Brady's got a weird history with Atlanta, so I guess anything could happen, especially with how hobbled the Bucks are right now. Hopefully, everybody keeps their shirts on. Like the Cardinals could potentially move to the 2 seed, even though we don't think that's possible. So if the Cardinals win, they'll be the 3 seed. And they'll play San Francisco because that means San Francisco will win.
I apologize. They play Carolina.
Oh, cool.
Carolina's lost.
So they play Carolina. Yeah. So Carolina's not a very good football team. So if the Cardinals win, they'll more than likely play the 49ers, who will lock up the 6 seed because they have a tiebreaker over the Eagles, and the Eagles have already clinched a playoff spot. And if the Cardinals lose, they'll stay exactly where they are in the 5 seed, and they'll play Dallas again. Right now, Kyle Shanahan, that son of a... Who would you rather play? The 49ers at home or the Cowboys on the road? Bo. I
know. Do you go old cliche? It's tough to beat a team 3 times.
It's tough to beat a team two times in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I just think San Francisco can play a little bit more on the defensive side of the football. They concern me a little bit more than Dallas. I mean, Dallas hasn't done anything in the postseason since the 90s. I mean, they're just notorious for just going away once January football hits. And I think I would rather face Dallas at this point. Seeing how they just kill themselves. You know where their strengths are, right? I mean, you know about Dak. He's slumping. I mean, if he's not playing at a high level, they're dead in the water. And if Trayvon Diggs isn't forcing takeaways on the defensive side of the football, they're not an impactful defense. I think I would much rather face Dallas than
I want to throw up for both. Like losing to San Francisco in the playoffs.
Did you see Trey Lance? Trey Lance has kind of figured it out. He looks like
he was hucking it.
Yeah.
Two
touchdowns, one and then another on the ground. I mean, that's what he's.
But if you're going to, which team has a better chance of putting up a 50 burger?
Oh no,
that's going to be Dallas. Yeah.
For sure.
So the thing is that I'd rather play with more points with the Cardinal. Like I'd rather trust the defense in that regard. To where I don't want to play a 13-9 game with the 49ers. which is the thing. Like, it's just a weird game. George Kittle's a terrible matchup. Deebo Samuel looks to be a top 3 receiver in the league now, like legitimately a top 3 receiver in the league, especially as the hybrid version of getting a lot of carries, like what Carolina started with Curtis Samuel. Like, everybody's adopting that now, where, Deebo Samuel's getting a bunch of touches, and he's a large man. He's not the size of a normal running back. He's a big wide receiver, borderline small tight end. So I don't know. Can I say I don't know? Even though I brought up the conversation, playing Dallas again would be playing with fire. That team has the best roster offensively. They might have the best 1 to 53 man roster on game day in the NFL, top to bottom. Like that defense, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. Can I stop yet? And then offensively, if they use the running backs correctly, I don't know how they got away from the run with Ezekiel Elliott yesterday. Like Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, and Dak. Like, it's supposed to work a lot better than it did on Sunday. So I don't know if I want to play with that fire either.
I think that's the point, right? I mean, Dallas is. I think that they're hamstrung by their head coach and Mike McCarthy, and he's making incorrect decisions throughout the game. I mean, the Cliff Kingsbury putting Matt Prater and Kyler Murray on the field, and it threw him off and threw him for a loop. And probably, arguably, the right move to call the timeout there, because why would Prater and K1 be on the field at the same time? Some trickeration there, and they call the time. I think head-to-head, the coaching battle kind of schemes pretty well. We make fun of him a lot on this program. I think that he's more impressive than Mike McCarthy. When you look at the defenses, Micah Parsons has been a great story, as a rookie and a defensive player of the year candidate. But Nick Bosa is an absolute problem, and I talk about the offense, like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Elijah Mitchell,
Brandon Ayuk.
Like they cause more cause for concern than even the guys that we know about so well in Dallas. We've seen 2 games now from Zeke Elliott where either A, he's a liability, where he was turning the football over last year, and then B, this season where he was a factor. I actually feel more comfortable going up against Dallas on the road. Cardinals have been so successful on the road. Kyler dominates. I mean, can he set his Xbox up officially, like to play on the big screen at Dallas? It's his house now. He's never lost there. It's his home. Kyler don't. I'd love to see Philly. Is there a scenario where Philly could the Cardinals play Philly? I don't believe in Jalen Hurts whatsoever as a quarterback, especially in the postseason.
Because it doesn't. No, it won't, because the only way the Cardinals will play a home game would be against San Francisco, because San Francisco has to beat the Rams.
Got it.
And if the Rams win, the Cardinals are staying exactly where they are. So no, it is the 49ers, or it's going to be the Cowboys. Well, I mean, what? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, the home team, the thing with the 49ers is they travel well, but they don't cold weather travel well. And the Cowboys, they're kind of like Arizona. Like, yeah, they'll have their 70%, in Jerry World, but there's over 100,000 people in that stadium. You get 30,000 fans. The Cardinals will travel deep for that playoff. It's not like the Cardinals are playing at home against the Packers. It's not like they're playing against the Bears or the Steelers. Obviously any of those teams that would ransack State Farm Stadium. But I mean, I would take San Francisco. I would take San Francisco, because you know what? You deserve a home game. If the Rams lose and the Cardinals win, the 49ers are one of the most egomaniacal franchises on the planet. The Cardinals have a lot to prove. So I think the Cardinals need to prove themselves. They can beat it would show a lot more for their confidence if they could beat the 49ers again. A division rival when it counts, with a quarterback that I think they figured out. I reached out to Brian Peacock on Twitter. I was like, after Trey Lance threw an absolute dime to Deebo Samuel, I'm like, well, I guess that's it for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And Brian Peacock's like, you must not know Kyle Shanahan. So it seems like if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy enough, he's going to play. And I would take my chances with that over arguably the best offense in football, at least on paper. So, I mean, listen, we can go back and forth on this a lot. Follow him at Bo Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. You know, this is going to be a really fun week. It's the last week of the regular season. Cherish this because this has been a magical run so far. It's not over yet. The Cardinals are going to be in the playoffs, which is a beautiful thing. In 2018, when Bo and I were sitting week one watching the Cardinals on the field for 5 minutes of offense in the first half with Sam Bradford and Steve Wilkes. And, you know, I mean,
at least
they've come a long way.
Jeff Rodgers.
What did you say?
At least that season brought us Jeff Rodgers. I mean,
that is true.
Some great plays.
That is true.
Special teams.
That is true. Those last 2 weeks, absolutely. So yeah, just cherish this. Be excited. We're happy you're along for the ride with us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're probably going to be doing some weird stuff. We'll probably do a couple extra lives over the next couple weeks. We're really going to maximize this. We want you to be along for the ride. Tell your friends. Subscribe. We want to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. About 140 or so away. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been around. We'll talk to you tomorrow.